Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new to the channel, I'm Holly Poole. I'm a professional astrologer and a healthyologist. So lots of times I will combine a lot of information together that maybe may not always sound like astrology, but that's because it's then coming from the healthyology avenue and platform. So welcome. Welcome to those who are faithfully coming on a regular basis. Thank you so much for showing up. The only reason to do these types of videos, of course, is if you have people who watch them. Otherwise, I'm just kind of talking to myself. So today we're going to start off talking about our very first eclipse. Let me share my screen here so I can show you the vibrational energy of the eclipse. The eclipse, so it's a full moon eclipse. We're starting out the year with what is called a lunar eclipse. Everybody on the internet is all talking about the April 8th solar eclipse. Yep, that's the next eclipse. But we also have this eclipse. And it's at 5 degrees Libra. When you look at your own personal chart, one of the things you're going to want to do is to look at where within your chart there would be 5 degrees Libra. Look on the outside rim of your chart. You're looking for this glyph, this sign, which is Libra. So it would be then in that house. In our charts, the AS house is always the first house. Underneath that is the second. Underneath that is the third. Underneath that is the fourth. We come around the circle counterclockwise. So I think if there was ever a deep, deep dive study that I would do on astrology, because let's face it, for those of you who've been following me on Facebook for 10 plus years, you've known that there are many places to go into rabbit holes around astrology. Do we want to talk about the nodal axis? Do we want to talk about the parts of fortune? Do we want to talk about the pre-birth eclipse? Do we want to talk, I can go for hours just talking about where is it we could go as somewhere for a chat. Coming back to that conversation I started, I think if there were one specific place that I would go for a deep, deep, deep dive study, and I've done a fair amount of it, it would be on eclipses. Eclipses to me is absolutely fascinating. Lunar eclipses are during the full moon. Solar eclipses are during the new moon. And what most people often don't know about eclipses is that they all are numbered. And it's called the Saros series, Saros. One of the astrologers that is amazing is a lady by the name of Bernadette Brady. I have done a lot of study on eclipses under Bernadette because for me, she's one of the top leading astrologers dealing with eclipses. So when I was in her class, she talked about the Saros series. Saros series is each eclipse is numbered. So each eclipse starts either at the South Pole or and heads to the equator, heading to the North Pole, or it begins at the North Pole, making it a total eclipse when it hits the equator, heading down to the south node. So the number for this eclipse on the 25th of March, and that would be almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Halifax time. sorry, 3 o'clock a.m., not 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock a.m. will be the exactness of that eclipse, Halifax, Nova Scotia time. That's Atlantic Standard Time. And so the number for this eclipse is a number 113. Now, this eclipse actually began in the year of 888. So this eclipse has 71 lunar eclipses in it. This one that we have in front of us here is number 64 out of those 71 lunar eclipses. It will finish in the year of 2150. And the last time we had lunar eclipse Saros series, number 113, was actually in March of 2006. So one of the things that's of very big interest to me and to you, for anybody who is studying astrology and looking to go down to a deep dive, you may want to check out what happened in the year of 888 when this eclipse began. But our most recent lunar eclipse of the Saros series, number 113, was actually in the 14th of March in 2006. So then I just was really curious. I wanted to go back and do a deep dive because lots of times eclipses will bring in a lot of the same energy flows. That's why the Saros cycle, the Saros series numbers are just so fascinating. And if you really look up 2006, there were a couple of things that really caught my eye. One of them was in the year of 2006, the Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein was executed in 2006. Also, that was a year that Google bought YouTube. So we can sort of kind of probably expect some of the same types of things to happen when we have a lunar eclipse. Now, one of the things lunar eclipses do, because it's like that full moon, right? Full moon on steroids. So it has this intense vibration to an eclipse. For my sensitive friends in the world of medical astrology, the sign of Libra has to do with our sort of kidney area, our lower back area. And of course, you can't have a full moon eclipse without looking at where the sun is. And the sun's in the sign of Aries. So, as I said, for my sensitive friends out there, you're going to find a lot of pressure during that time, 25th of March. We'll feel it coming up late 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, part of 27th. We'll feel this larger vibration around the head. One of the things, as we said, that lunar eclipses do, lunar eclipses bring things to a head. And so, a lot of my clients over this last few days, and yeah, I'm doing this, I'm recording this on the 19th, so you're probably thinking, oh, well, then, we haven't got to the eclipse yet. That's right, we haven't. But the sensitive people who are into the spirituality world, who are very sensitive to the energy going on around them, will have already stepped into that energy flow. So, as I was saying, some of my clients over the last few days have talked about, Holly, I don't know what's going on. I'm like cleaning out Dagwood's closet. So, yeah, and that's probably taken a bit of time for you and the universe to be booting you in the behind to get it done, get it done, get it done, get it done. And lunar eclipses bring things to a head. So we want to look in your own personal chart to see where that Libra vibrational energy is going to be happening, because that is where things will be brought to a head. We also recognize that the sign of Libra is very much about relationships. And over the many years when I've been looking at various eclipses, lunar eclipses, solar eclipses, one of the big things is that the lunar eclipse in Libra will quite often affect war and peace. It will bring things directly to a head. Now, do I expect that boom, boom, right on the 25th of March? Highly unlikely. And so then that takes us down to the next question. How long does an eclipse stay into effect? Ptolemy once said that the effect of a lunar eclipse lasts as long in months as the eclipse lasts in minutes. Some people think that, for instance, the lunar eclipse will last as long as till we get to our next lunar eclipse, the 18th of September this year. So there's different variations of mindset. Personally, for me, I have found, so we're looking at 5 degrees Libra. I have found that now up there in the heavens, there is a vibrational pathway. And when I'm teaching astrology and I'm teaching about eclipses, I say, this has been my experience, that when you have an eclipse, this pathway now in the heavens is highly vibrating. And when you get transiting planets going through that corridor, then they too kind of key in to that vibration. Personally, that's when I think happens. For me, I have also felt that eclipses has still been very powerful for at least the first 6 months. But I've seen events come out of it even a year and a half later. So if you, in your own personal chart, have something close to 5 degrees Aries, or 5 degrees Libra, or even 5 degrees Aries, can't have a full moon without the sun, so it's being affected. That is also something that is of great importance to take note of. As we said, the eclipse, lunar eclipse in Libra, will bring something to attention, to the head. We're going to take a quick look as to us in Atlantic Canada. So for those of you who may not know a lot about your geography, I'm down in this area. I'm in Nova Scotia. But you can see that the totality of this particular eclipse really covers kind of Northern Europe. We do see, the UK is involved there. We do see Iraq and Russia. We do see even going over to Alaska. We do see a little bit of the corner of Greenland there. So this particular part of the world in mundane astrology, world astrology, in mundane astrology, to predict what is going to happen with a particular eclipse, we look to see where the shadow of the eclipse actually falls. And, we're not seeing it down in Australia. We're not seeing South America, the USA. We're not really seeing Canada. We said a little bit over here into, the very part of Alaska and so on. But when I get to talk about the April eclipse, then we're going to see it slice right through the US and absolutely slice through Atlantic Canada. And it will be physically be able to be viewed there. We in Atlantic Canada, or Canada at all, won't visually be able to see this lunar eclipse. If you were living in Europe, in the northern part of Europe, if you were living in Europe or the UK, you would so be able to see the lunar eclipse if you were up at that particular hour. So I will sort of move my way along, because I can spend just absolutely hours talking about eclipses. They are so fascinating to me. People often say, okay, so I mean, we get new moons and full moons at least every month. What makes it an eclipse or not? And what happens when you have the full moon, or the moon in general, if you have like the moon, which is within 15 degrees of the nodal axis. Now, different astrologers use different orbs, I do believe. I've always been taught, and I know Bernadette Brady talks about this, that within 15 degrees, and that, of course, as you can see, is within 10 degrees. Hence, we've got a lunar eclipse connected with the south node. The south node is about the release of energy. The north node, if we had the eclipse next to a north node, then it's the bringing in of energy. But the south node is about the releasing out of energy. So it brings change. It instills change. Again, looking into your own particular chart, whatever house that Libra is in within your chart, that's the house that you're going to see a shift and a change happen. It will bring something to a head. One of the things that I often do find when we have a lunar eclipse, full moon eclipse, lunar eclipse connected to the south node, it often feels like something is taken away from us. Now, originally, we may not be overly happy about that, but as time goes on, we look back and you'd be able to see that that is such a turning point for you. And with that particular turning point, what happens is we realize that then it allows other things to come into our life. We're going to see it differently when we're going to look at the April. The April is going to be a solar eclipse. That's a new moon eclipse. And that new moon is actually going to be connected to the north node. So we'll spend time, a lot of time. I'll try to do that video at least 4 or 5 days previous to that particular eclipse. That's a very important eclipse for those in the US, in the Western world, in the US and Canada, whereas this lunar eclipse is way more important and more directed and zeroed in on our European and UK friends. When we look at this eclipse as well, one of the other things we look at is what sign rules this eclipse. We're in the sign of Libra. The ruler of Libra is in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is very much the dreamer, the caretaker, the counselor, the intuitive. And so with it being ruled like that, when I said way back earlier in this video, I said, you know, it brings something to a head. Let me stop you for a second and tell you the first thing that came to your mind. 9 chances out of 10 is exactly what will actually be brought to the forefront. As we move into the next day, you can see the moon is still very connected to that south node. So we're still feeling the intensity of the lower back vibration, as well as the intensity of the head, the energy around the head. And I find with atmospheric pressure like that, Advil, aspirin, Tylenol doesn't really do a whole lot. The only thing that can help you quite often is to take your hands on the outer side, not touching your head, but just using your fingers to pull away the intensity of the energy. You may even want to, take the energy off your forehead, part of the Aries in medical astrology. The other piece that's going on here is that we also have Jupiter and Uranus coming together. They're within a 4-degree orb here. And let me tell you, I really am expecting this to be massively affecting our banking industry. In mundane astrology, and for those of you who want to go down the rabbit hole of mundane astrology, this is also a great book, Mundane Astrology, written by, let me see if you can see that. It's this book was written in the late 70s, but I was referring to this when I was looking for some of the information about eclipses, because that also is wonderful there. But on mundane astrology, world astrology, Taurus is an earth sign. So it's also about our earth products. It's also about our ground, our physical ground, earth. But it also massively affects the banking industry. And I have a theory when Jupiter and Uranus comes together, which we will see as time goes on, it'll be early April, where we got a bit of an issue going on with the banking industry. Watch your news, for those of you who watch the news, and I say this all the time. Now, this is creating a trine, and yep, we do like trines. It is creating a trine with the asteroid goddess Ceres. And so this is also about people claiming what is rightfully theirs. Now, I won't spend a lot of time talking about Ceres, but of course, previous to this, on the late of the 19th of March, early morning of the 20th of March, depending on where and what time zone you live in, the sun entered the sign of Aries, bringing in the spring equinox, which is very much connected directly to Ceres, because Ceres went down to Hades to claim her daughter Persephone, who had been taken by Pluto, and to say thank you. Ceres actually gave us spring and the happiness and the happy vibrational things of things beginning and opening and so on. So Ceres, when we see Ceres going through a chart, the asteroid goddess of Ceres, Ceres is very much about claiming what is rightfully ours. So there is a huge vibrational energy going on between claiming what is rightfully mine and the banking industry, which I find is so fascinating. The other night, my husband and I watched a documentary that had been put on by CBC, I believe it was, Canadian, about the banks and how they are doing some fraudulent type work, number one, but also maybe not being 100% upfront. And I thought, oh yeah, here we go. We're coming with Jupiter, excuse me, Jupiter getting closer to Uranus, and Ceres is all a part of it, going, I'm going to claim what is rightfully mine. And you will find that the people born very, very late in December, earlier part of January, our Capricorn friends, they are very involved in this whole entire process. They will probably be the people looking very tightly at their tax returns this year. Because we also have Black Moon Lilith directly within that grand trine. And that sometimes can bring in a sense of shame. So I come back. What is this eclipse bringing to a head? Is it bringing to the head of relationships, the relationships of the normal everyday person with the banking industry? Is it having people claim what is rightfully theirs? How is it working in your particular chart? Plus, by the time we get to that 26th, the moon is now moving through. Remember, this is a solar eclipse that had happened last October. I said, remember, it holds a vibrational energy. And when we have planets then going through, now the moon comes through, mind you, every 28, 29 days, the moon comes through. But it will be a very powerful moon right here. It is finishing off of an eclipse, so it's got some pretty magnificent energy. Think about it. Go back to mid-October, some conversation that was going on with you and another person. Could be a love relationship, could be a marriage relationship, could be a relationship at work. The moon wants to come back and bring it to a head. Remember when you said, mark my words. And of course, again, all of that took place in your house that has Libra on the outside of it. Astrology should not be a surprise to us. As an evolutionary astrologer, I keep saying to clients, I should never tell you something that on some level, some inner level, some intuitive level, some subconscious level that you don't already know. You wrote your chart. So what I should be doing is confirming what intuitively inside of you already know. And I think sometimes that's why when I do readings, specifically first-time readings with people, they will often go into tears because they'll say, Holly, you feel like you've reached in and touched my soul. Our astrological chart is very connected to our soul. So yes, in some way, shape, or form, I guess I have. Also, by the time we get to that 26, Mars will be out of Aquarius and into Pisces. Thank the good Lord for that. Mars going through Aquarius was very hard on our head. And Mars going into the sign of Pisces, it will dampen that vibrational energy. Mars don't like being in Pisces. Pisces likes to be watery and emotional and intuitive and dreamy and artistic and playful, and Mars wants to be aggression. Mars wants to be aggressive. So Mars don't have much power as it goes through the sign of Pisces. And as I said, that's a good thing. The only thing Mars will do for all of us going through Pisces, and it'll certainly take a good portion of March and into April, and going through Pisces, it will force us to pay attention to our intuition. We will be finding throughout March, April area saying, oh, I knew that. I knew that. Uh-huh. Yep, that's correct. And as we move into the 27th, of course, we are now having the moon move out of Libra, and it's then going to go into the secretive side of Scorpio, where we'll find ourselves asking questions. No, yeah, but no, I just asked that, just wondering. No. Scorpios are never just wondering. There is an intentional reason. And it's funny because intuitively I can hear the Scorpios out there laughing because, that's right. When we get to the 28th of March, on that particular day, the moon will be opposing Jupiter on that particular day. We will be asking a lot of questions. Mind you, we'll be doing our taxes the end of March, at least in Canada. The moon will be opposing Jupiter, asking some of the best ways to deal with our money and our finances. One of the things I said is that Mars will be pushing forward that intuitive side. Let me tell you, on the 28th of March, mark your calendar, Saturn and the moon will be very much in touch with each other. And on that particular day, Saturn's going, listen to your intuition. What is your intuition telling you? Listen carefully. And I say the same to everybody. Listen carefully. When we get to the 29th of March, expect the unexpected. Now the moon is opposing Uranus. Uranus is the planet of unexpected events. Jupiter is pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. Now, let me also say, we are all, especially our sensitive friends, we're all going to be feeling we're waiting for the next shoe to drop. Nobody said Uranus unexpected events were bad things. There are two sides to every story. Yep, some unexpected events, yes, I agree. Some of them are. Lots of them are not. Jupiter is known as the beneficial planet. So when you are having unexpected events showing up, I want you to stop for a moment and to ask, what's the lesson? Could be a real good lesson. May not be a bad thing at all. The difficulty sometimes with Jupiter is sometimes too much of a good thing is too much. You think about sugar, for instance. Too much of a good thing, it's a bit of a problem. But Jupiter is a benefactor. Jupiter is pushing the limits right now, and it is bringing in unexpected events that most of us are not even seeing coming. So expect the unexpected. And I want you to try to change the attitude to looking forward to the unexpected. I do believe in manifestation. I've said that probably in each one of my videos because I do believe in it. And I believe that sending out the positive energy out there is exactly what can come back to us. The unfortunate thing is there's a lot of hate out there. Never underestimate you as an individual, me as an individual, Sally as an individual, Tom as an individual, Harry as an individual, Helen as an individual. We all vibrationally sent out positive. I firmly believe that positivity will override negativity. I fully believe that. So, universe, Jupiter coming up to Uranus, send me unexpected events. I am open to receive. I'm open to receive. I'm open to receive all of these opportunities. And I'd love for each of you to actually, I've called this video Free the Strings That Bind Me. Free the strings. Reminds me of the tarot card deck of the girl that's all bound up and she's got blindfolds on. For those of you who know tarot, I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about. And often, if I'm doing a tarot reading for somebody, I will say, do you know who did that to you? 90% of the time, most of them say, I did. Oh, yeah, that's correct. That's exactly, you got yourself in such a bind. You put on the blindfolds because if I can't see it, then I don't have to deal with it. Good luck with that. That's not how the universe works, but hey, if it works for you, good luck. At some point in time, the universe will take off the blindfolds. So let's change that vibration. Let's change the vibration and say, bring it on, bring it on. Let's have this. And so allowing with that full moon eclipse of taking something away from us. Why don't we give something away? Why don't we just give something away? I.e., negativity is a good thing to just give away. The fear of the unknown, give it away. The feeling that I'm not good enough, give it away. The feeling that I'm not smart enough, tall enough, cute enough, fat enough, skinny enough, whatever, fill in the blank, give it away. Let's open up this doorway. Let Jupiter, the benefactor, the beneficial planet coming up to Uranus, let us make those unexpected events be stuff that we've dreamed about all of our life. I'm looking forward to Jupiter coming to line up with Uranus. And in my personal chart, it's sitting on my Chiron. Most people would not think that's a good thing. I'm going to trust that the universe has some very great, wonderful things up their sleeve. That's going to make me see that it absolutely is fabulous. So I hope right on the bottom, everybody, right on the bottom, on what it is that you're passing off on that lunar eclipse. What are you giving to the universe? Here you go, universe, take that, make it go away. So that I can have this beneficial planet coming through. By the time we get to March 30th, now the moon has moved to line up with Pallas Athene. Now, Pallas Athene, she's the warrior goddess. She's retrograding. She's feeling she may not have a whole lot of power just yet, but she'll change. She will make that change, and she will put on that warrior goddess side to her, and she will fight the fight. She'll come to fight for another day. She's all about Sagittarius. If you know any Sagittarius, they're all about the need for truth, the learning of truth, the understanding of truth. And I think with Jupiter coming to Uranus, that's going to bring forward a lot of truth. Pluto has already been working its way through, digging down through that truth. Pluto wants to free mankind entirely. So Pluto is taking no prisoners here. We see that so much on the world stage. As we then come into April 1st, April Fool's Day, April 1st, that is going to be the day that Mercury is going to start to retrograde. Now, Mercury is retrograding in Aries, so it's very much affecting our friends that are born, around the middle part of April. Middle part of April, middle part of July, middle part of October, middle part of January. So our cardinal friends, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Mind you, it's affecting all of us. So again, you're going to want to see on the outside of your chart what house Aries is. Because whatever house that is, you want to be very conscious of miscommunication. Mercury is our planet of communication. When Mercury retrogrades, the world cannot stop, We can't stop the world just because Mercury is retrograding. But we can be cognizant. We can be aware. We can be understanding that what I say and what people hear, or what they say and what I hear, may not entirely be correct. I often talk about a Mercury retrograde. There's a lot of noise going on in the universe. And it would be the same as if you are trying to write out a contract standing in a lunchroom of 1,500 employees or the lunchroom of a university hall. Just so much noise. So we have to be sure. Can we sign things? Yes, we can sign things, but read it, double read it, triple read it. Give it to somebody who has no emotional connection into it to read it. And one of the things, so, I don't stop readings just because it's a Mercury retrograde. I'd be out of business. So I check and double check and triple check to make sure that the exact dates I wrote down are the exact birth dates. That's correct. And that's very important. Check, double check, triple check. Mercury will retrograde from the 1st of April right up until the 25th of April. So we got a good portion of the months with that Mercury retrograde. Mercury is going to come back and run into Chiron. Mercury will run into North Node. Mercury will run into the sun. So we've got some timings here. And as I go through the actual month, I'll talk about that. I'm going to take us up, of course, as far as the solar eclipse, which will be the 8th. You can see there's Jupiter getting closer and closer and closer to Uranus. As I said, somewhere around that mid to late April. One of the things I am suggesting to my clients is that they have some cash in their home, physical cash in their home from somewhere around the 10th of April onward for that whole last couple of weeks in April. I just think we're going to have a big banking industry issue. And the difficulty is we're in the middle of a Mercury retrograde. So should the banking machines go down or whatever it might be, then it's going to take it a little while to come back up because of that Mercury retrograde. So rather be safe than sorry. We also, as we're getting close to that 4th of April, we also got Mars coming close to Saturn. So Saturn and Mars are already kind of in a bit of a scuffle here. And it's all over caretaking. It's your responsibility to do this. No, it's your responsibility to do this. No, it's your responsibility to do this. No, it's your responsibility to do this. That's Mars and Saturn. Now, Mars is moving relatively quickly. It's moving roughly about a degree a day. So it's working its way closer. Also, in that particular day, on the 4th of April, that is an absolutely lovely day to get out your paints. Do something really artistic. If you are somebody who writes music or writes songs or poetry, or even if you're not somebody who feels artistic, on that particular day, that's actually on a Tuesday. Nope, it's not. April 4th is a Thursday. On that particular day, for those of you who are working, I ask that you take a little notepad to work with you. And during your lunch hour, please go outside, go outdoors, find a tree, sit by a tree, put your hands on the tree, feel the vibration of the tree. People may think you're absolutely Looney Tunes, but so what? They're entitled to think whatever it is that they want to think. And I want you to hold on to the vibration of that tree. And then I want you to allow yourself to sit with a pencil pen on a pad. And I want you to just write whatever thoughts come into your mind. It doesn't matter if it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. Allow your thoughts. And I want you to write 3 pages. And no, not a notebook like that. A notebook at least like that. And allow just 3 pages to write. By the 4th of April, the 8th of April is the solar eclipse. By the 4th of April, we're already pulling into that solar eclipse. The sun and North Node is already sitting together. And we're going to have the next day or so. Let's look at the next day. The next day, we've got the North Node directly sitting at the same degree. So it's in the heart of the sun, we say. And that's a lovely day. So the 4th or the 5th. And feeling that sense of purpose. That's one of the things you want to be just jotting down. And sometimes we think our purpose is one thing in life. Our purpose is many, many, many things. Our purpose connected to our family we're born into. If you're a mom or a dad, your purpose, what do you think your purpose are directly to your kids? What do you think your purpose is directly to your work? What is your purpose connected to your heart? What is the purpose connected to your happiness? What is the purpose connected to your parents? What have you brought into their life? So there's lots there to work with and connect and massage. There's Jupiter coming up to Uranus. Then, of course, we've got the 6th of April. Now we've got the moon. The moon's trying to get to the sun, right? Because the moon it's a new moon for our solar eclipse on the 8th. So the moon's trying to get up to the sun. The sun is almost in vibrational energy there, but not quite there yet. So everybody's in a rush. You're going to feel yourself being really rushed and emotionally feeling really rushed. Then we get to the 17th. Now the moon is connected to Neptune. And the moon is asking you to dream. What are your dreams? What makes you dream? What gives you your dream? What do you want to dream? What will make you the happiest? And as we come forward throughout the month of April, we will see that Venus and North Node will come through. And I think one of the big things as an astrologer, people say, what is my purpose? And they always think that it is one specific purpose. Life is so much about the evolvement. And we talk a lot during during a reading. I'm not the only one talking, kind of like here. I'm not the only one talking during a reading because it's important to have back and forth conversation. And so often I will say, you probably, just using this as an example, you probably felt you wanted to be a nurse when you were younger. But I bet that's not what you ended up doing. How do I know that? Well, mainly I'm looking at the South Node showing me what they did in another lifetime. Maybe it's in the sign of Pisces. Maybe it's in the sign of Virgo within the whole chart. And that gives us our childhood ideas. And even today, now when we're doing readings, people will say, I need to know what I am supposed to be doing. My comment is, what are you happiest doing? That's what you're supposed to be doing. And I want everyone to give a bit of thought to that. I'm going to leave it here because that takes us up to the 7th of April. I hope that you've enjoyed the video. For those of you who have not subscribed, please subscribe over there. And I apologize. I was talking with everyone before saying, hit the bell, hit the bell. Well, I guess it's not a bell. I guess it's a thumbs up that's there. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out with me. I always feel when I'm doing these that I'm just chatting away with you guys. And you all feel like friends that I've just not met yet. Thank you so much. Enjoy the eclipse. Determine what it is that you want to release and let go of. Yep, the eclipse is on the 25th, but we're still feeling that vibration on the 26th, the 27th. It's never too late. Never too late to release the strings that bind me. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic rest of March, and I'll see you into April.